and this one is a bit controversial, but it's going to lead me into my first question. Okay. Consent or romance?
The reality is that we do desire people sexually, romantically. You know, it's part of this thing that we are here on earth called the human experience.
So do you think that these policies are communicated effectively to students?
We practice our res, at home, and we have those pickup lines and we rehearse.
If someone listening has experienced sexual harassment, what should their first port of call be? Hello, and welcome to the UP Transformation Office and Drama Department podcast collaboration. I am Atlechang Dikgang, and today we will be discussing anti-sexual harassment. We are joined by none other than Duke Rasebopye, who is part of the Transformation Office and is also a tax alumni. He is also part of the CSANG as well as Speak Out UP. Hi, Duke.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic.
So we're going to start you off with a rapid fire, a game I'd like to call rapid fire, where I'll give you two options and you just tell me which one of those two options you prefer.
Okay.
So, pizza or burger?
Burger.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Stay in or go out?
Stay in.
Movies or series?
Series.
Okay, and this one is a bit controversial, but it's going to lead me into my first question.
Okay.
Consent or romance?
Are they not the same thing?
That's what I would like to find out from you. So in a lot of instances where you watch movies or series, you find that consent tends to mean the loss of romance. So what is your take on that aspect? Does consent mean that there's a loss of romance?
I don't think so. I think you can definitely be consensual while still adhering to what people may think is romance. So I think in romance, we are just courting someone. But it is also great to court someone, one, in the way in which they desire to be courted, two, to do it in a way in which, even if it's a surprise, at the point at which they receive this particular attention, they have free reign and free opportunity to opt out of it without being coerced to continue in that theatrics of romance.
So in a way, it's more romantic to be consensual about your courting of someone.
I would definitely say so. It definitely is. It safeguards both people as well. And I know a lot of the times when we speak about consent, things even like flirting can sound as though they now become boring, right? But I think there is a way and a skill of navigating consensual interactions that are romantic. In the very same way, we practice our res, at home, and we have those pickup lines and we rehearse them. There is a means and ways of people apply themselves to think around consent and how they incorporate it in their romantic or even sexual pursuits. It can work and work well without really making things boring.
I love that answer. And we're here to discuss sexual harassment. So in your informed opinion, can you give us a definition of what sexual harassment is?
So sexual harassment is when someone does or receives sexual attention or is a recipient of sexual conduct, and that conduct is unwanted, it's not welcomed or not mutual. So I definitely can want it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that just because I want this particular attention or conduct in relation to myself that I welcome it from everyone. So I may not welcome it from everyone, or I may. So I can want it. I must welcome it from the person who delivers that particular conduct or attention or action. And it must be mutual at the time at which it happens. And mutual can have different variations to it. I must be of a right state of mind. I must be of a consenting age. It must really be that you and I at that point in time want to do it. And if I don't want to do it, I don't need to negotiate with you or tell you what my reasons are for not doing it. I simply do not, and that should be respected. And if it's not respected, if any of those three are missing, it's sexual harassment. But if you want it and welcome it and it's mutual when it happens, then that is what we would say is consent.
And whatever sexual harassment is dependent on the person that deems it to be uncomfortable for them, right?
The person who receives the attention. So, for example, if you think like a compliment, right? Some people would say, "Ooh, but I'm just being nice." Did I want you to comment on whatever it is that you complimented me on? Did I welcome a compliment from you in particular? And this thing of you being nice, was it mutual at the time at which it happened?
And so With that, I want to bring your attention to social media trends. Are you aware of a trend that's called dabbing up tens?
Oh no, tell me what that is.
So what dabbing up tens on campus essentially is that someone will be recorded going up to people on campus and giving them fist bumps. And if you're given a fist bumps, it means that you're a 10 out of 10 looks wise or aesthetics wise. And what will then happen is that that video then gets posted on social media platforms. So do you think that things like that, as well as like a smash or pass, are you familiar with a smash or pass?
Oh, I know smash.
Yes. So do you think trends like that are put on social media contribute to a desensitization around sexual harassment?
I don't necessarily think so. I think the reality is that we do desire people sexually, romantically. You know, it's part of this thing that we are here on earth called the human experience. So I don't think we should be in a position where we vilify people for having sexual desires or interests and preferences. You know, that's part of what we would say is fair discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I am open to sex, for example, or romantic interactions, but it's not a group project. You know, it's not something done through the government, so it shouldn't be for everyone. You know, so I have the right to have preferences and desires and so forth. But what could possibly then be an instance where maybe consent is not observed is if I woke up to someone, I fist bumped them, and for my social media content, that is an affirmation that I think they're a 10. But maybe I should ask them, are you comfortable with me posting this on my social media? Are you comfortable with this being on my social media platform? Should I tag you? Should I not? Would you like me to blur out your face or not? And then that is fine. I think that would be a case where of it is happening, it is quite consensual. And as long as there isn't an active also commentary of people who are not fist bumped. So as long as you're not walking past someone and saying, you know, and you are now in a position where you are either body shaming, insulting, or degrading how someone really may look just because they don't fit your preferences and putting that on social media. So there's still an element of consent in content creation.
So I've been here for 3 years, and the times that I've interacted with discrimination or sexual harassment, anti-sexual harassment policy is during moments like Theatre for Development and now during this podcast. So do you think that these policies are communicated effectively to students?
So I would say yes and no. There's always definitely a better way in which we could communicate policies to students. And I think generally, even from a government perspective, how we communicate policy in general. I think there is a better way in which we could involve younger demographics in that conversation a lot better. So we definitely could do better in that regard. And that's really part and parcel of why we try explore these alternative ways. So we do have workshops throughout the whole year. Programs such as Speak Out, Just Leaders at the CSANG are consistently having these kind of dialogues and inviting students in to have these conversations. For staff, we always have these workshops ongoing, and we have talks in different departments and so forth. But if you look at this kind of collaboration, the idea is that through podcasts, because a lot of people are listening to podcasts at the moment, we are able to bring that in. You know, a lot of times also people watch podcasts rather not even just listening to it. So hence the videographic aspect of it. I mean, for the past 2 years, we've tried theatre because that also has a particular kind of reach and communicates the message in a different way. So we continuously trying different ways in which we can reach as wide a demographic as we possibly can, and we're exploring others as well. For example, like an online module on ClickUp, and we'll see what that even looks like.
So now, if someone listening has experienced sexual harassment, what should their first port of call be?
If someone has experienced an incident of sexual harassment or being a recipient of inappropriate sexual behavior, they can come to the Transformation Office and report it at the Transformation Office. If you go on to your UP portal, when you log in for student portal, it would be, I believe, the third tile, the first tile on your left on the third row. And for staff members, it would be really on the second row and still the first tile. The tile says UP Transformation Anti-Discrimination cases. So you can also report it from wherever you are, where you can access the UP portal. Even if you're not certain whether or not you want to report the case now, and you're not certain as to whether or not you want to move ahead right now with the case, you definitely can come through and report the matter so that we, in the meantime, get the support services going on your behalf. So you can come to the Transformation Office, but there's different other departments within the university that assist as well. The CSANG, the SRC, Student Counseling Unit, Security Services, the Student Health Services, your academic success coaches, for example, are also people you can go to guide you through the reporting process as well.
Thank you so much, Duke. It's always nice to have a conversation with someone who has a lot of insight on these matters that we essentially live with on campus, and thank you for tuning in. If you want to report anything of the matters that were discussed here today, or you have any queries, the Transformation Office is by the Prospect Gate entrance here at the University of Pretoria. I am Atlehandi Khang, and this was the Anti-Sexual Harassment Policy Podcast.